65,000 kilometers. What is this? I repeat, 65,000 kilometers. This is the distance covered by these people here to join this panel. So we can call it long distance panel, and I would like an applause also for these people that came. So I want to thank them sincerely for joining us today. Thank you very much. And I would like to briefly introduce alphabetically. We have with us Kenji Hiramoto, Chief Strategist from the Cabinet Secretariat in Japan. Luis Felipe Salin Monteiro, Secretary of State with the portfolio of IC Information Technology and Communication from Brazil. We have someone from Europe, which is Anna Panagopoulou, Director in DG Research and Innovation from Brussels. And we have also Laura Rodríguez, Deputy Chief Technology Officer and Chief Architect at the Central E-Government Unit in Uruguay, what is called AGESIC. So as we are the last panel of this long day, we decided to make this panel a little bit more interactive so that as this is a late hour, we are not, we avoid death by PowerPoint. So we organize it as a discussion. Also, closing the session, we will announce the results of the poll that is already running from the morning, asking you to contribute with your preference, let's say, in 3 simple questions. And I would suggest that you visit the site right now and you add there your opinion. I don't know if it would be possible to show the slide with the link so that people could see. Okay, this is the link. I'm giving you 30 seconds to concentrate on the link so that you find the poll. It's 3 questions, and then we have the results at the end of the session. Okay, thank you very much. So all of our panelists have somehow coordinated and are responsible for digital strategies. Perhaps a little bit different digital strategies, digital strategies on data, digital strategies on e-government, digital strategies for research and innovation. But this is, let's say, the common topic of this panel today, discussing about the digital panel, the strategies. So I would like first to let them give you an overview of what the digital strategy that they work for is about. So please, if you could make it in 3 minutes to explain to everyone what the digital strategy that you are leading, coordinating is about. So we could start again with this order. So Kenji, please.
Thank you, Vassilios. Please show my presentation. Oh, only one presentation. Oh, yes. I will show you digital strategy in Japan. We published our future vision, Society 5.0 in 2016. Society 4.0 is the information society, and 5.0 is the society that is supported by AI and IoT data. In this month, we will publish innovation strategy and new digital strategy. In these strategies, data exchange platform and interoperability framework is one of the most important components. Especially, digital government is an important part of the strategy. Digital government strategy consists of 3 pillars. First one is digital first. Second one is once only. Third one is one stop. But unfortunately, in my office, there are so many papers, and we Japanese like stamps, not signature. And most serious problem is Japanese kanji character. So we will establish a Digital First Act at the end of the year, this year. We will accelerate our government transformation by the law. We would like to change our government image. Every citizen thinks government is a burden. The process is very complicated and long time. So we must change to from the burden to the accelerator. For this purpose, ministries should work together and interconnect the data. So we need different architecture, data exchange architecture, and government interoperability framework. It is the right side. In the Society 5.0 and National Strategy and Digital Strategy, it is all strategy include data strategy, data architecture. And on the other hand, Japanese industry have a strong supply chain, but it is little old style. In the digital era, Europe promote Industry 4.0 and the United States promote industrial internet. We should rethink a new industry concept for digital society. Our new concept is connected industry. It is not chain, but agile network. There are enormous data from each industry. So we also need a data exchange platform for industries. In the Society 5.0 vision, we will use both the government data and the industry data. And AI will support our life and our businesses. We will make the data exchange platform by 2020. It's the Tokyo Olympic year. Please come to Tokyo in 2020 and to see the Olympic Games and the result of the, our Society 5.0 project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, I think that Japan is a little bit in front of Europe because they have reached 5.0. I think it's the first time that I see the 5.0, okay, interesting. Also, it's interesting that we use the same terminology more or less. So we're talking about the government interoperability framework. We're talking about once-only principle. So we see that all these concepts that we discuss now in Europe, actually, they are not only discussed in Europe, they are discussed all over the world. With this, I would pass the floor to Louise. So, Louise.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be invited to be here. So before I started, since some of you mentioned the World Cup, Brazil might not be the first in digital services, but you know what I mean, right? I hope there are no Germans here. There are there? Oh. It's a shame. So, by the way, the Brazilian digital transformation strategy was just published in March 2018. And for the first time, the strategy handles not only the digital government, but also handles the digital economy as a broad transformation initiative. So I'm specifically responsible for the transformation of the government, but I would like to show or to talk to you some of the enabling axes that we have in our digital transformation. So we plan to have a digital-based economy in Brazil. Brazil has 120 million internet users for 210 million citizens. So our digital inclusion is increasing a lot. And I used to tell to my colleagues there, if for the ones that are connected in Brazil, it corresponds to 20 to 30 Denmarks to 3 times Canada, so it's valuable even if we have some of the population outside of the digital environment. We want to be part of the world of connected devices. We want to create new business model based on the digital economy, and the axis that is more, it's my personal responsibility. We want to promote the digital citizenship and government. We realized that for that we have to work on enabling access to like infrastructure and access, research, development, and innovation, trust in the digital environment, which is something that we are looking very deeply right now, education and professional training, and international dimension. In total, the Brazilian transformation strategy has 100 initiatives, and we are now selecting the first priorities to overcome by the following years. I would like to mention also that under this transformation strategy, we have another specific one for digital government, and our main pillars for that strategy is to promote digital public services and also a data-driven public administrations. So this event here was very valuable for me, since we are a federation, and all this semantic and interoperability are needed in Brazil as well to promote these challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luis. If you allow me, I guess that you will avoid calling at any version your digital strategy 7.1. But
we took the number out of our.
Okay. So with this, I'm giving the floor to Laura. So Laura, please.
Okay. Good afternoon to all. Thank you very much for the invitation. In Uruguay, as Vassilios said, I work in the e-government organization that is responsible for the digital strategy of the country. We've been working for 11 years in a digital policy, in a sustainable digital policy that takes everything digital to all, and we call digital transformation with equality. And we have all house with internet and optical fiber. We also had the initiative of 1 laptop per child, so we have all children in school and in high school studying with a laptop. We also have all retirees with low incomes with a tablet and a training on how to use it. We also have all agro-stock tracers. For us, the agro is very important. We also have the possibility of all citizens with digital identification. Right now, we have the 50% of the citizens with a digital card, as the Danish show. We have the same initiative. We also have e-health electronic records. We also have all government services, the initiative of all government services online, and we want to have it all, the government services online and traceable by 2020. And our strategy is separated in two. We have a country strategy that is an agenda that is periodically evaluated. And we also have a digital plan for government that the scope is only public administration and government. In this last, the digital plan for government, we separate our objectives in an holistic approach of our relationship with the citizens. So we have objectives about the security, the secure government. So we work there all about digital identification, cybersecurity, data protection. Then we have the whole of government, the whole of government that is to work in an integrated government, and that's where we work things like data architecture. Then we have closest government or proximity government, then where we have objectives about how to integrate the citizens in the digital policy and how they participate and how to show them an integral view of the government. And then we have efficient government, that is to improve our digital government. Then we have a smart government that uses the new technologies and innovation. And we have open government that we have objectives there about open data by default, for example, or transparency. So that's the way we plan our digital strategy, and we evaluate it continuously, and it's always in revising. Nowadays, we are working on a very important strategy about data that we are very proud of. So maybe we can see it now. It's about a data-driven digital transformation. And this is a simple conceptual model that we are trying to promote in Uruguay. And we are working on a data policy also that settles the basis for the public administrations to work with data and puts data as an asset. And put the responsibility in data for commitments and mission of the public organization. And then in this conceptual model, we conceptualize first the government data, and we separate them in business verticals, but having also a core data that is across the business. We have also data interoperability, that's where we work how the exchange of information happens in Uruguay. We also had some component about smart data, that it's about using the data in a smart way, and we improve that. And we have also all the ways that we understand that the data is going to change or do this digital transformation, that it's about open data, data-driven public policy, data-driven services also, and my data, that it's a concept that empowers the citizens with the data that the government has of their own. And this transformation is accompanied with security and privacy in all these components, and also by principles and governance.
Okay, thank you very much, Laura. I think that in all three cases from the three countries, what we see is really a basket with many elements that tried to be somehow combined in a digital strategy. I guess that this is a challenging thing. We will discuss about this in my next question, actually. And we go now to Anna. So, Anna, could you please explain us a bit what is this digital strategy that DG Research and Innovation is involved in?
Thank you very much, and I'm very pleased to be with you today. Of course, DG Research is not responsible to define a digital strategy as such, but the need made us to think about it. And for those of you that you have been familiar with the framework programs of research and innovation in Europe, you may know the challenge of implementing these programs and managing these programs. So we're talking about hundreds of thousands of participants across Europe and beyond. We are talking about hundreds of thousands of projects and proposals that we have received and we have to evaluate and to manage financially and technically. We are talking about thousands of data that we are collecting through the reporting obligations of the beneficiaries, but also data related to the results of the research and innovation, of European research and innovation. What to do with this, what we do to simplify the life of our applicants, what to do to harmonize the way that we're implementing the research and innovation programs of Europe when we have 20 different European public administrations I'm talking about only European Commission, that they are implementing these programs. So that was the challenge that we have to face when in 2014 we have assigned 80 billion euros of research and innovation program, Horizon 2020, and we have to demonstrate that we can implement the program in electronic way without any paper file, efficient, quick, to give money to the people that they wanted to run research and innovation projects in 8 months, and in the same way across the different member states and across the different parts of the programs. So that was then the moment that together with DIGIT, which were very much involved and is a great partner in this respect with us, we have defined the new e-grant system, as we call, unique systems that they are running the whole project life cycle from the submission and evaluation up to the closure of the projects. And they are collecting all the data sets that they are used by the beneficiaries to implement the projects. And we managed to do that in a very short time. And today, we are in a situation where we have a unique IT system used by everybody across, almost everybody across the research and innovation program of the EU, and a reference data set and a base register that could be used for policy making. So this is where we are, and that was the one part in relation to the implementation of the program. The second part, that it was thought that it was a big policy priority for the commissioner in 2014, was access to data and sharing the data. And one of the priorities that we have in Horizon 2020 program, and will continue to be in the next framework program, which has been recently announced, the Horizon Europe, is the European Science Cloud. And the idea of this European Science Cloud is to be able to have access and reuse the data and the results of the European projects, the ones delivered through the European research programs, but also beyond. So these are the two areas that we are working with the research and innovation programs.
Okay, thank you very much, Anna. What I sensed from this first round is that actually the issue of integration exists somehow in almost all initiatives. So digital strategy is one of the challenges that perhaps they need to face is integration. But this is just my understanding. I wanted to ask actually you, because digital strategies, drafting, managing, evaluating them is a complex project on itself. So what do you think is the most challenging factor, let's say, in managing, organizing digital strategies? Perhaps we could start from
Yeah, I can. In our case, and by the way, it's not only myself saying that, we are going through an OECD digital review right now, so it will be published in the following month, and you can read about our digital journey and the challenges we have. But in Brazil, since we are 27 independent states and more than 5,500 municipalities with different maturity levels, at the national government, we have more than 26 ministries and almost 300 agencies in the national level. So I'm talking about only the total of civil service only is around 10 million in Brazil. So the collaboration, institutional coordination, it's the biggest challenge. It's not about technology, it's not about money or investment models, we have that there, but the coordination is the major challenge. What we are doing to trying to solve that barrier, we have an interministerial governance committee formed by the Central of Government. This committee is taking care of the political overview of the strategy. We have another executive committee special for the digital transformation strategy that I mentioned. And under the digital government, we have a committee for data sharing and interoperability, and another committee for public services transformation. So may seem a lot of committees and people talking in meetings, but it's completely necessary for our case. So I would mention that governance is the main challenges, and we are open to share and to learn about our experience.
Thank you very much. So we keep coordination, communication, governance as three main points, let's say, of problems, areas of problems in the case of Brazil. Let's move to Uruguay.
Yes, for us, it's about cultural change, not only in organizations, also in citizens. In organizations, we have the common working silos and don't work integrated, and also we have a lot of challenges about adoption of the only once principle, and also about citizens and that they know we have the challenges about know their rights and their obligation in the digital world also, and empower the citizens with their data. And we, for example, in the data policy, enforce the organizations to give citizens the access to all the data they have. But we do a survey, and we know that there's a lack of trust in the citizens about the transactions in the digital world. So I think it's both organizations and citizens also.
Okay. We keep the cultural change issue as a main issue there. So Anna, what about?
I would agree with both Luis and Laura, because we do need a change culture, in particular when you have a segregated system across the different service organization, implementing bodies where they would like to keep their own system. So you really have to convince them what is the added value of going to a unique system. And you really need to have a strong governance and a strong steering through this governance, because people, they have to feel that they co-design, co-create, and they co-participate to this digital strategy. But you really need to have also a strong political willingness. And the transformation and the adoption of this digital strategy in the research and innovation programs happened because at the top level of the management, the director generals involved, they were this is extremely important. And the last thing concerning the data and the share of data, there is a lot of effort still to be done with those scientists and innovators that they are having this data. There is a lot of work to be done to ensure interoperability of data and to convince them that there is a benefit by sharing the data and by reusing the data of the others, so they are not going to lose, but they only want to win. And there is a lot of work to be done, not only inside the Commission, but with the Member States, and we are running this path now.
Thank you very much, Anna, because you introduced also the idea about open science, open access, and all these very relevant topics that I guess also are topics in all countries. It's not only in the European Commission. So, Kenji, what about Japan, the main challenge?
Yeah. Japan is the same situation. In Japanese government, there are many branches and there are so many local government. We have 1,700 local government in Japan, and every local government want to make their own architecture, and they want to make their way to governance. So now I said we will make a new act, and we will manage the all local government systems. So now we recommended the cloud technology to the local government, and we want to consolidate the local government system, and we want to manage and coordinate the local government data and data sharing system. And also, cultural change is very important. So our main challenge is how to explain the benefit of digital technology to our decision makers. Because most of decision makers don't know the benefit of digital technology. So first, we must explain to them, and they will manage our budget and our human resource. So now our main challenge is the cultural change and to explain the benefit. Yep. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. My next two questions are related somehow with the discussion that we had during the day. So the first one is about the base registries, and the second one is about artificial intelligence. So with regards to the base registry, and perhaps here just a clarification, because base registry is a term that it is heavily used inside the European Commission. It's also now used inside Europe, but perhaps in other places they don't call it like this. So usually it is master data management. So there are different terms that we can use there. So just to clarify what we talk about. The question there is that I assume that in all the digital strategies, in one way or another, you engage, let's say, some kind of work related to master data management and base registries. So if we consider the 4 European interoperability layers with the different kind of problems that can appear in base registries, talking about technological problems, for example, lack of platforms or whatever, technical protocols, communication, whatever, semantics, lack of common data models, lack of common meaning, things that we have seen in the morning session, organization, of course, how the different units and the agencies collaborate together, and at the legal level, ambiguity, for example, what is valid, what is not valid, what is the authoritative source of information. So if you consider this, let's say, different layers, where would you say that more of the problems in your case exist? In which of these layers? Perhaps we could start with Laura and Uruguay now.
We don't use the base registry concept. We use more the master data concept, and we introduced this concept in our data strategy to visualize the relevance of this master data. One of the major problems we find is in the semantic, because we already have an interoperability platform that it's working since, I think, 8 years ago. And we have SOA architecture, and we have a lot of exchange of information going through that platform. But we don't know the meaning of this information. Some years ago, we worked in a reference model for some entities of data entities like person, addresses, or something like that. But we don't success about that. So nowadays we are trying to look at another way to see this semantic, and we use the idea in the AIF for minimum vocabularies, to define a minimum vocabularies. And we have these vocabularies organized by business vertical, and we extend the core vocabularies in each business vertical. And now we thought that we can work with semantic and understanding of the exchange of information that goes through that interoperability platform. And also we have a lot of problems in the organizational layer, because there's a lot of organizations which have repeated data, or as we want right now to engage the data to the mission of each organization, we are going to have some issues about which is the owner of this data or another data. So that's, I think it's going to be some of the major problems.
Okay, thank you very much, Laura. Anna, and actually this is a proof of the different terminology used. You told me during the break that you use another term for describing basically the same concept of the base registry, but regardless of the term used, what is the main, let's say, what are the main challenges that you have in managing this very important data that is used not only perhaps from DG RTD, but also used by other DGs?
Yeah, indeed, and I would very much agree with Laura. It's a matter of semantics at the end of the day, because as I said, we managed to integrate 80% of the program through the same system. So behind the system, there are data, and their data, they have the same data model. Nevertheless, it's a big part of the program, which is implemented through different systems by different institutions. And when we try to integrate those data so that we have the overview of the program implementation, it was extremely difficult because there were different data models, different terminologies. It was very difficult to connect and correlate this data. So you need really to do a lot of effort for that. So it is necessary to have a common data model, common data definitions even for reporting purposes, because of course, as public administration, we collect data in order to be able to report to policy making, to provide feedback on the implementation of the program, and you need to have also the same technology. When you speak about the project, you have to mean the same thing. When you speak about budget, you have to have the same, to mean the same issue. So there is a problem of terminology, data model, and there is also a problem that I see beyond the research and innovation program, because the European Commission as an organization provides financing through different programs. And for the European citizen and for the beneficiary, it doesn't matter where the money really comes from. And if the Commission needs to report how and where the money are spent, you need to be able to report across the different programs. So synergy between programs, also at this technical level, at data level, is extremely important. And we are not yet there. In particular, when you're thinking about the shared management funds, the ones that they are used through structural funds, cohesion funds, that they are managed by national authorities, each of different national authorities using different systems, different data model, is very difficult to integrate all this information and to give an overview of where the European citizen money through the Commission are spent.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it was a very clear example of the need for master data management in a very concrete case like the one that you presented. Thanks for this. I think that we finished, no? With this question, or yes? Okay.
Can add,
yes, sure.
if you agree. Just to mention some successful projects that we had in Brazil about digital transformation. So our taxation is 100% digital. We have received more than 13 million tax declarations per year. Our electoral system is 100% digital too. We are exporting this technology all over the world. So it's more than 160 million citizens at every elections using digital technology. So we produce lots of data. I would say that technically we already have the framework to develop interoperability. We have interoperability bus, a digital identity that we will deploy in the next month, I hope, and also some other platforms that we use for interoperability. What I think is the most issue for us right now is personal data protection. How we can assure that this data that we are sharing among agencies and among institutions is protected and is under the responsibility of the state without causing any damage to the citizen, companies, and everything. So this is one point I would like to add in the discussion.
Okay, thank you very much. This is really a very important point, taking into account also the recent development, the GDPR, and all the sensitivity that exists. We have seen also the discussion in Denmark or in the morning session also about these issues. Perhaps, Kenji, you want also to add something here?
Yes, Japanese situation is a little strange. We have a base registry project, but big barrier is Japanese character. I think this is Asian special problem. We Japanese use 60,000 kanji character for our name and land name. So it's a historical and cultural layer. So we must use ID and code in the base registry. 3 years ago, we started national ID number for every citizen and started the enterprise ID number. We strongly promote these IDs, and we started the land ID project. Of course, we have a municipality ID, but we would like to make address level land IDs because the land name is very complicated. It uses kanji character, so we need ID. And this layer is very important, and we need a semantic layer. So we are promoting government interoperability framework (IMI), and we published master data guide beta version last year. And our headache is the organization layer. There are some old culture ministries. They have many papers, and they believe paper is most reliable materials. So they always say no problem now. We always global benchmark and good practice are very important. We can compare and discuss about this issue with them. And also transparency is very important. Citizens can check their activity. So we must break the barrier. And now we are trying every day, but it is very tough work.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question, as I said already, is about artificial intelligence. So we have heard also a presentation today. It is the hype that is discussed everywhere nowadays. There are even ministries that have appeared of artificial intelligence in some countries. Some people say that this is an old discussion that for whatever reason now it pops up. Some people believe that currently we do have a completely different environment and artificial intelligence is going to happen very soon. So what is your perspective on this? Have you, in whatever way, included some flavor, let's say, of artificial intelligence in the sense perhaps also of advanced analytics or whatever in your digital strategies? Anna, perhaps we could start with you.
Actually, this is a very interesting question and a big challenge for us. Why? Because through the systems, we are able to collect and to visualize and to analyze structural data that we collect through the beneficiaries through reporting templates. What is more difficult and actually more important is to be able to use, to analyze, and for policy-making purposes, unstructured data, and to look at the results of our projects, because at the end of the day, what everybody's looking is how the 80 billion euros are spent, but also what is the impact of the research and innovation programs over the year for the society, for the science, for the technology, for the European citizen. And to do so, we need to be able to have access in an intelligent way to unstructured information, as a result of the deliverables that they are coming out from our projects, but also to be able to tracing through the years what happened with all those projects that we have financed. What happened with the results? Have they been exploited? Where and in which way? So there, it's something where we do need to look at artificial intelligence, our innovative technologies in order to be able to best identify the data that we need to, and then to present them in the best possible way, and to deliver a positive message about the impact of European research and innovation programs.
Okay, thank you very much, Anna. Laura?
Well, we see that we are going to gain a lot of efficiency and transparency, analyzing data. And we right now are tracing all government services that are online, and we are making conclusions that this service is not used or it's, and we have the step-by-step of all the interactions between the citizens and inside the public organization, so we can really see the power of this information for an efficient government. We also gain, I think, in transparency because we make policies based on evidence. So, but I think that we lost privacy of personal data, and it opens a lot of ethical dilemmas around personal data. And as much as data we have and as much as data we analyze, we have more to take care about personal data.
Okay, thank you very much, especially after the incidents that we recently had also at a mass scale, I would say. Luis?
In our case, we are, I would say, evaluating these emerging technologies, and regarding to artificial intelligence, we plan to use, we are already using in the taxation process because it's what we do best. And also we are planning, since we have a very fiscal restriction, a huge fiscal restriction in Brazil right now, and 66% of our expenditures are basically social benefits. So we are now doing some experiments in how to predict the social, that each person is eligible or not for some specific social benefit. And we think with the result of these experiments, we might have a model for prediction of those cases. And I hope next year I can come here to tell you about.
Okay, thanks. This is my next question. Kenji? Yes?
Yes, I think advanced analytics and AI have big potential. It will increase efficiency and accuracy of our business, and we can do high-level decision-making, and we can provide good citizen service. So we have some trial project. For example, AI project for minutes for meeting. We want to make accurate answer to the question from diet member. So we analyze the minutes of diet by using AI. But some diet member use very bright but not clear message. So AI couldn't understand them. So we now we will continue this minutes project, but we must decide a new target. And another AI challenge is chatbot. Some municipality government provide concierge service by chatbot. It works very well. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have heard about your strategies. We all wish you good luck with this challenging project that you have in front of you. Could you, using just one sentence, say what you would like to announce next year in the next SEMIC conference in case that you are here again? What would be the result that you would like to have achieved by then? If possible, with one sentence. Perhaps we could start with Kenji again, last round.
Yes, now we are doing the public event project. We want to gather the public event information from all local government and central government. I will make some portal site about public event. It is our result.
Okay. I hope that this comes through. Luis?
Next year, I hope to come here to say you that Brazil is now the world champion in digital transformation. You didn't wait for the answer. So I think next year we will be with our digital identity in place, more than half of the public services online, and our data and interoperability framework being used by all the administration. So we have many things going on, and I think next year we'll have some great news.
Great. I wish good luck also to Brazil. I am also Brazil fan, by the way. Laura?
What about Uruguay? It's also in the championship. I'm not sure if it's in our strategy, but I would like next year to tell you about an exchanging of data, maybe with some European Union country in some business process. It would be great.
Okay, I think that this is a very nice suggestion. Perhaps these ladies and gentlemen could help on this become true. Okay, thanks. And Anna?
The work that was done so far is considered to be a benchmark in European public administration, in the Commission. And this is why now we are expanding this work beyond, as I said, Research and Innovation Programme, beyond projects, also for procurement. So we're working this project very closely with DIGIT, and I hope next year we will be able to announce a successful implementation of this project. But beyond that, I think we have to involve the member states administration in such an e-government project, because without the member states, without the data of the member states, our information is very weak. So if we want to say how Europe is progressing, how is the economic growth of Europe, we have to put data that they are coming from the efforts done at European level, but also data demonstrating the efforts that they are done at public administration level and national level. And this is, let's say, my dream for the years to come. It will not happen in a year, it's for the years to come.
Okay, I think that this is a very nice message. Member states becoming closer, let's say, to the European Commission and exchanging data in a better way. I think that this is a more general message that perhaps should be communicated also elsewhere. Thank you very much for this. As we are running out of time, I just need 1 minute to show you the results of the poll. So if it is possible to see the results of the poll, and if I manage to read from here. Yeah, okay. So, which was the most important challenge you faced in your digital strategy? So, we see that there are people, so it's spread, but most people believe designing and agreeing on it with major stakeholders. The second choice is internal resistance to change. So, I think these are somehow related. And defining its governance structure, if I'm not mistaken, these are the first choices, and then lack of expertise and limited budget follows. I think that it reflects a little bit also the discussion that we had here and your opinions. So it's somehow, we see that people also in the room more or less have voted similarly here. Could we move to the second question of the poll, please? Base registries in your country, in which of the 4 European interoperability framework layers, there are more problems. So we see here that there is a clear winner. It's at the organizational point. And the second is close, legal, and semantic, while the technical is a little bit lower, but still exists. Actually, for me, it's a little bit a surprise that we still see this high level of technical problems faced by people. I would expect a little bit lower, but we see clearly that organizational is perhaps the most, again, I think that it reflects also your ideas here. And the last one, please. How do you see the use of advanced analytics and artificial intelligence in the public sector? So as a serious threat, nobody in this room, which is interesting. We see many people saying that it is a huge opportunity, so 43%, and we see also many people saying that there are lots of benefits, but also lots of risks. And very few people saying that risks are more important than benefits, while some people say that benefits are more important than risks. So we see a clear positive, let's say, inclination towards artificial intelligence with zero in this room at least. I don't know if it is, of course, a neutral sample of people, but zero here believe that it is a serious threat. Okay, with this, I pass the floor to, or I return the floor to Natalie. Thank you very much once again for your participation and for your contribution to the conference.